Alright, I'll tell him. Okay, hello everyone. I've called this press conference to order for one reason and one reason only. It's going to shape the future of this country. So listen up. Illegals. Alright, and we're not talking about normal illegals here. We're talking about superpowered illegals. That's right. Illegals with superpowers. I know it's a hard concept to grasp, but I'm going to say it again. Illegals with superpowers. Now, I for one have formulated the perfect plan here in order to solve this problem. It's very similar to a other plan I have in place, but this is going to be even better and even huger. It's going to be great, okay? I'm going to build a wall to keep out these superpowered illegals, which, by the way, I have heard that the majority of these illegals, not all of them, but I've heard the majority of these illegals, superpowers are catered specifically to murdering and raping you, Americans. So, I think it's, we nip this in the bud while we have it. Now, this wall that I am building is going to be bigger and greater and huger than any other wall that's ever been built. Great Wall of China, whatever. Walmart, whatever. This thing's going to be, it's going to reach the moon. Alright? Now I know to many people this might seem like an idea I'm just coming up with just now, but no, I've had this wall to the moon plan in the works for a while now. I've talked to some of the greatest wall builders in the world. They're great. I've talked to Neil Armstrong. Wait, no, he's dead. Talked to Buzz Aldrin. He said he's been up there. He said he'd chip in on making the wall, so gonna hand to him. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be huge. We're gonna prevent the superpowered illegals from entering this country, and the only superpowered people will be good, honest, God-fearing American superheroes. Now, I know a lot of people are curious exactly what my superpower is, so I thought I'd take the time out of this press conference to just distract you to what I just said to explain to you my superpower. Are you ready? My superpower is... Yeah, I'll probably get that intro done someday. Sooner or later. Anyway, hey everybody, Tekking101 here to review My Hero Academia Chapter 108! And in this chapter, which is titled Rush, we will finally see the end of the first phase of the provisional license exam. There's actually only 2 phases. I looked back and checked. I don't think they said this was going to be a multi-stage exam. I went back and I couldn't find it for the life of me. Maybe I'm missing something that's right out in the open. When they started this whole thing, I could have sworn they said, oh, just, yeah, they do the big, the big battle royale thing. First 100 applicants pass, then get their licenses. Whatever. Anyway, chapter starts off. We go back in time a little bit. We ended the last chapter right after Sero, Ochako, and Izuku passed, and that brought the total number of examinees up to 79 that have passed. So we go back in time a little bit to only when 60 examinees have passed, and we see Shindao. Shindao is the kid from Ketsubutsu Academy, the one where Mrs. Joke teaches, and that's like her kids there. And Shindao is the kid that used the shake-up quirk to cause the huge freaking earthquake that separated everybody to begin with. But also, we find a little bit of look into his personality here. He's the kind of guy that has a lot of charisma, and when you meet him in public, he can seem as like a really cool dude, like you want to be friends with. But in reality, he just uses that as like a veil for his like true personality. I think we've all met people like that at some point in our lives. His last name is Yo, by the way. So, Yo, Shindao. Yeah, what's going on? Oh, nothing. I'm just saying your name. Yo, Shindao. Yeah, okay, I see you. What's going on? Yeah, no, I'm not saying yo, Shindao, as in hello, how are you doing? What's going on? Haven't seen you in a while. Would you like to go to the bar for a drink? I'm saying it because it's your name. Oh, well, it's not fucking funny. Right, so we cut over to the present time now. We see the anteroom, and we see Kirishima, Bakugo, and Kaminari all arrive. They passed as well. The total number is now up to 82. It's only got 18 spots left, and there's still about 9 UA kids that haven't passed yet. We see this cool moment with Kaminari, Ochako, and Sero. They start chanting, Yatta! 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 at each other. Yatta just means it's Japanese for we did it, or I did it. We accomplished it. Yatta! Don't say it in public. You get looked at weird. I do it all the time, though. That inner weeaboo is starting to take hold of my soul. Alright, well, Bakugo walks up to Izuku, and in the traditional Bakugo fashion, he asks his fellow classmate and longtime friend how he did on the exam. So Deku, you piece of shit, you passed too. Oh yeah, Kachan, yeah, I did, of course. Izuku also remembers that Bakugo hasn't really mentioned or even talked to Izuku since the whole deal at Kamino Ward, when the big battle between All For One and All Might. Bakugo hasn't really even so much as really referenced him, so the idea of calling him a piece of shit is kind of a step up at the moment.
But we get the scene as Bakugo is walking away. He turns to Izuku and he says, have you at least been able to make that borrowed power your own yet? And Izuku's standing there like in complete shock and awe because he just referenced One for All. Now, this was mentioned at the beginning of the series, at the end of the battle test. You know, the first major fight between Bakugo and Izuku during the battle training, and Bakugo lost to Izuku there. Now, Izuku was rendered immobile because he couldn't use his quirk for shit back then, but he still lost to Izuku, and this was a huge blow to Bakugo's pride. Just a huge blow! Because this is a kid, he's known his whole life, ever since childhood. He's always going around saying, I want to be a superhero, I want to be a superhero, and Bakugo's just like, you don't have a quirk, you're nothing but your little piss hand, I'm always going to be better than you, and you just lost to him. So, you have this moment where Izuku comes up to Bakugo after school, and he's like, you know, this power I have, he doesn't expressly say One for All, but he's like, this power I have, it's borrowed. I don't have it yet. I mean, I just only had it for a little while. I'm not used to using it yet or anything like that. That's why I didn't want to use it in our battle. And then you have this moment where Bakugo just didn't understand what Izuku said, and he got pissed at him, you know, like he was like talking down to him, and All Might's like, oh, well, fortunately, young Bakugo didn't understand what you said, so I think everything will be okay. I think after he had his confrontation with All Might at his parents' house, you know, All Might came to visit his parents, and he talked to him. He's like, hey, what is Izuku to you, All Might? I think he finally maybe started to piece it together a little bit, that the borrowed power, at least, he doesn't know the full intricacies of One for All, but he at least understands the borrowed power probably came from All Might. You know, it's so similar, and now All Might having to figure out about these weakened state. I mean, Bakugo's no idiot. He's pretty hot-headed, but he's no idiot. He probably, like, clicked it in his head, at least there's some, you know, connection here between All Might's power and Izuku's power, so that's probably the thing he figured out. But Bakugo's also not going to go blabbering it to everybody. He's not going to go say to everybody, oh, this is, you know, oh, Izuku got his quirk directly from All Might. Oh my god, it's a quirk you can pass on. This is incredible. Front page news. He's not the kind of guy to do that, so it's not a concern. We get to see the other students that have passed. We see Momo there. Kaminari comes up to her and is like, whoa, Yao Momo! Oh, okay, I guess we're just calling her that now. This is good. Her last name's kind of hard to say sometimes. You can mess it up. Along with that, we also see Tsuyu there, Jiro, Shoji, they've all passed. And they get brought up that there's only 18 spots remaining and only 9 UA students are left. So the timing's getting, you know, really tight now. We don't know if every single UA student's going to pass. So we cut over to different scenes on the battlefield. First, we cut over to see Ayama. Oh, you can't see him, but he's way down here. Ayama and Ida's fight. They're in the middle of this huge freaking melee. Like, it's like, okay, imagine playing Smash, but with, like, double the amount of characters you're allowed. Yeah, this is where we get right here. It's freaking insanity. You know, kids, superpowered teenagers jumping around, grabbing each other, tossing people around. There's a girl that can extend her hair. This other guy that can shoot fire. It's intense, and Aoyama and Ida are in the center of it all, trying not to get hit. Apparently, Aoyama's already lost 2 of his targets, so one more hit and he's out already. And Aoyama has this moment with Ida where they're flashing back to when they met, and after everybody got separated, and he's like, all right, Yaoyoro's is with the group, so she's pretty smart, she'll be able to lead them okay. Ida's thing here is that he just wants everyone to pass. He doesn't care about himself, and that's a very Ida type thing to do. He's like, I'm the class president of class 1A. I don't care if I pass, but it's my duty to make sure all the other students of my class pass. You know, very honorable dude like that. And I think his actions really spoke to Aoyama, you know, because Aoyama, he's always about the guy, he always wants to stand out. He always wants to be like seeing the guy as like, hey, check me out here, what I can do, check out what I did, you know, aren't you interested in what I was doing, you know? He's a little bit of an attention whore, but he does have a pretty powerful quirk, so it's not like he's all bluster and he has nothing to show for it. His quirk is pretty powerful in its own right, although in this situation, really maybe not so much. At this time, we also get the announcement that 8 other students from Ketsubutsu Academy have passed. This includes Shindao and the other students he was talking to, Mrs. Joke's class. Apparently she said, oh, if 8 students passed all together, then it must be my kids. So there's probably like maybe a very specific group they all work in, and it's 8 people. We'll probably find out a little bit more about that later on. But now we only have 10 spots left, and it's getting intense here. So at this point,
Aoyama has like somewhat of a flashback to his past, and he's asking his parents like, hey, Mama, Papa, how come I'm different from everyone else? And with that, he releases this huge burst of his navel laser. He like bends his spine backward, doing like a reverse crab thing, and then just shoots his fucking navel laser right into the freaking sky, which of course is might as well lighting up a huge beacon like, attack here, attack here. And of course Ida's freaking out like, whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing? And Aoyama's like, I'm standing out, merci beaucoup.
Warning, Tekking101 does not speak French, but he's going to act like he does and fail horribly.
Is he supposed to be French? Because last time I checked, Aoyama meant Blue Mountain. It's Japanese, but okay, whatever. Anyway, he's like, I'm standing out extravagantly, and I'm basically not trying to get everyone pulled down together. I'm trying to, like, you know, forget about me, and while everyone's coming to attack me at this location, then you'll have plenty of opportunities, because, like, time's running out. We need to get on this. So Aoyama's, like, trying to act like a martyr here. He's just like, you know what? You know, not everyone from UA is probably going to pass. I'm just going to do this so you guys can take the baton and you guys can pass.
Now, Aoyama, we have a little bit of glint into his past here. I would say maybe this was an Aoyama chapter, maybe not so much on the same degree that Kaminari had a spotlight last chapter, because we know a little bit more about Kaminari, Aoyama not so much. But he goes on and says, you know, ever since I was a kid, all I've wanted to be is, I've always wanted to be equal with everyone else. Now, that's a big one for him. That's a little bit more humble than we see Aoyama, because, like I said, Aoyama always likes to stand out. The best thing I can say is right after the USJ arc, we had no idea what he was doing the entire time, you know, and after the fight's over, after everyone's recovered and regrouped, and they're all telling him, all right, we were stuck here and we were doing this, Aoyama's just like, do you want to know where I was? Do you know what I was doing? Do you want to know what I was doing? And he kept on saying it, no one really gave a shit until finally Sue brought it up, like, okay, what were you doing? And he was just like, I was hiding. You know, he wants to stand out from everyone else, but that's not because he feels superior. That's not because, like, I am so much better than everyone else, so everyone should pay attention to me. No, it's like he feels like he's inferior to everyone else, therefore standing out as much as he did maybe draws attention. All he wants to do is, I just want to be equal with everyone else. Okay, and that's a good thing, because I don't know if it's like at the beginning of the series it was supposed to be just like he was supposed to be the stuck-up kid or something like that, that has not a lot of likable characteristics, and now that we're a little bit further in the series, we want to, okay, he's not stuck up. It's actually the exact opposite. He's actually afraid that he's not as great as everyone else, and he wants to be seen as that way, and in order to do that, he has to feel like he has to keep, you know, trying to take up the spotlight, you know? But like I said, his quirk is very impressive, and he has a very likable personality for the most part, so I would say he's a very interesting character. I would say he's on the level of, you know, the entire class in general. He's certainly not, like, incredibly lagging behind. Anyway, his plan actually does work. We get way more people heading for him, but also all the other UA kids gather around, too. Koda uses his ability to summon a flock of doves straight out of a freaking John Woo film, so that shit's awesome. And then amidst the hawks, amidst the doves, you couldn't have planned this any better. Someone needs to have a freaking video camera and then send this off to YouTube, because amidst all these doves swirling around the area, you have Tokoyami stepping out of the darkness, activating Black Arm, Gloom of the Black Arm. Oh my god, that attack is so emo, but I love you because you're awesome. You know what? If it was any other character that was doing the emo shit, I would be completely against that. But Tokoyami gets a pass for one reason and one reason only. He has a bird for a head. I don't know why that earns points, but that earns points. Sasuke would be my favorite Naruto character if his head was a hawk. I'm just saying. I should question why it took Tokoyami this long to pass. I mean, really? This seems like just something more of a battle that he would be catered to, you know? Maybe it's just because there's too much light around. Maybe that's diminishing Dark Shadow. But he seems pretty badass here because, well, I guess because he maybe harnessed the shadow when all the birds were, like, obscuring the lights. You know, he activated, you know, his shadow powers a little bit better. But, yeah, so in the meantime, Minato also shows up and he throws all of his balls on the ground, pretty much rips out every single one on his head, so he starts bleeding profusely. His power might actually be really useful lethal in this situation because the goal of this trial is to toss these very specific balls at your target, and his quirk is like sticky balls. So you could really kind of like fake out your opponent with these things. Like your opponent thinks like, oh, he already threw the 3 balls at me, so now he's open. But then it's like, actually, these are the real ones. That would have been a really cool tactic. But no, instead he just chucks all of his balls on the ground, so gets everyone stuck. Ojiro is also there. He uses his tail, whips it around. Craziest thing, we have Toru Hagakure show up. Invisible Girl, right? And she uses a technique that I didn't even know she had like a superpower outside of just I'm invisible. I mean, that just kind of lends it to believe, all right, you're invisible. But no, she uses a technique called concentrated refraction. And then she's like, say cheese, like she's taking a picture. So it's like this huge burst of light. So I'm going to say maybe, we don't exactly know what Hagakure's quirk is. Or Hagakure, I think it's actually called Hagakure. Sorry, pronunciation, Nazis. But if her ability, if we haven't really gotten the quirk as just invisible, if it's maybe just light refraction, you know, like bending light in a certain way so you can't see her physical body, then that would be a way more badass quirk, because that wouldn't just be simple invisibility. That would be like, you can control light. Like, that's pretty cool. So she's like condensing all the light into one point, and then boom! It's like a freaking flashbang. Minus the bang. Well, it's Toru, so maybe there is some bang. I don't know. You know, but I love her. I love her. I'm waiting for the day at some point. I don't know, maybe Eraserhead uses his, I mean, like, if it's not like a physical quirk that changes your body, like a heteromorphic type, Eraserhead might be able to erase it. I'm waiting for the day that happens, because I really want to see what she actually looks like. Purely not for perverted reasons at all. We have all the other students showing up that haven't passed yet. You know, Sato's there, Ashido's there, and it's basically like counting down to the last few precious minutes. There's like 6 are left. 5 are left, 4 are left, and finally it gets down to just 2 students. Just 2 spots left, Ida and Ayama, and it seems like Ayama, like Ida finally, you know, forced him back to his feet and got, not forced him, but he got him, you know, to be, you know, worried about himself, not start worried about just everyone else, like you're not inferior or whatever, got the fire burning under his ass, metaphorically, got the drive going, and he's like, fine, with all of this, it's thanks to you, and then bam, last 2 spots, 0 left, go to Ida and Ayama. We cut over to the ante room, and we see Inaba there from Shiketsu, as well as Shiketsu Girl. She passed as well. She also has her clothes back on, so take that, whatever you will. And he's like, oh, wait, Shishikura, the creepy, you know, processed meat guy. He's like, oh, man, he lost. Well, that's what he gets for going off on his own and getting too full of himself. And then we get to the last scene of the chapter. We see Mera getting on the loudspeaker, announcing, like, okay, these are the people that passed. Everyone else would please vacate the premises, because we're gonna blow it up. Boom! Entire area they were just in just gets destroyed. Like, the entire area, even around the license exam site, gets completely obliterated. Everyone's freaking out, like, why would you do that? And more importantly, why are we gonna have to go and do something in those ruins? And the next phase is going to be rescue. You gotta go and rescue the old-timers and the young kids that were in the last chapter. Although I can guarantee you they aren't going to be just regular old people. There's gonna be something else going on here. Like, maybe they have quirks themselves, or maybe they're just going to be really super uncooperative or something like that. Like, I'm not leaving my house, Shunny. I was born and raised here, and I'll die here, god nabbit. There's a giant building that's going to fall on you. It's okay, I'm old enough, you know, and then you gotta figure out some way to get about babies and kids. I can see some problems with that. Pay attention to this baby. I swear to God, if this baby does not do some epic shit, you know, I will be seriously surprised. I really will be, because that's... Watch the baby. Just watch the baby. Non-pedo bear, just watch the baby. Finally, we get Izuku, who is absolutely stunned at this revelation. Rescue. Rescue trials. You know, I think we might have done that at one point. Didn't we do something like that at the beginning of the school year where we were practicing rescue? Oh, shit. Right. Think we might have skipped that lesson there. It's kind of weird that they didn't do that again. Like, okay, the rescue training, which is very vital for being a hero, by the way, was interrupted by a legion of villains. So,
Yeah, we'll just forget about that. Whatever, kids. Villains attacked. We can't help it. So no more rescue training for you. We'll just have to move on. So this is going to be a big deal. This is going to be a big deal that they did not learn this rescue training, because I'm sure there's certain techniques that would probably be, you know, this isn't something that's just like by the book, because every rescue situation is going to be a little bit different, so you have to kind of use your own judgment. But they would have certainly learned techniques during the rescue arc, during the USJ arc. They would have certainly learned certain techniques to, expedite the process and make it more easier, maybe how to console your rescuee, and shit like that, how to determine a situation, I don't know, like a mnemonic device or something, like SCAT, scan catastrophes at time. I don't know, something they could have maybe ingrained in their heads, but they didn't, because they didn't have an option at rescue training here. Although they did rescue Bakugo. They did do that, so maybe that'll give them some extra credit. I don't know. But next chapter is going to be pretty intense, and there's certainly going to be a lot of UA students that are going to fail. And watch out for that baby. But anyway, yeah, this was chapter review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe and all that good shit. What do you think is going to happen in the next chapter? And what UA students do you think are going to get on the chopping block? This will be Tekking101 signing out!